Well, good afternoon, folks. Old Buster coming to you again. We got a special edition by special request of Big Boy Billy Cain Bailey. He says, "You never tell any stories about me. Would you please tell a story about me?" Well, we gonna tell a little about him, but there's a lot more. You know, he's in a lot of these stories. He's always into something because he's about the worst trickster you ever seen other than Walter. Anyway, Big Boy Billy Cain Bailey. Well, the boys here at Little Rock are calling. Miss Wilhelm was taking all the high school for a field trip to Little Rock. Of course, the high school's the seniors and the juniors, the sophomores and the freshmen. And they was all looking forward to the trip and all the sights in the capital city. Well, the bus got them all into MacArthur Park right after breakfast, and Miss Wilhelm and a teacher representing each class took them to see all the exhibits. Well, all the young'uns got a brochure telling them all about MacArthur Park. Now, folks, y'all ain't never been to Little Rock or been to MacArthur Park or the Arkansas Arts Museum or any of these other ones, of course, down there on the Rivers District now. It's got all this about it in the story and the pictures of it, but you have to write Buster and the boys at yahoo.com for you to get all that. Reading this story, I can't get it all in there to you. But we'll move on from there. Well, after all the group of classes was took to the Arkansas Arts Museum, they seen a play there in the auditorium they put up for them. And there was a picnic lunch on the ground, and that was real nice as it was right pretty and sun shining bright and a cool breeze off of that lake there. Well, there was a couple of gals that took a hankering to some of the boys, but especially Big Boy Billy Cain Bailey. Now, Billy Cain, like I say, was a trickster. He's worse than Walter. And he's right good friends with Buster and the boys. And he run up to Buster and hollered out for him to help him. Buster said, "What's he done? Got himself into now? Who knows?" You see, Billy Cain was sporting a gal in the freshman, sophomore, and junior class, and they was a-looking for him to have their picnic on the ground with him. Well, he was in a pickle for sure, I tell you. He was bound to have his and Haid skunt and ears peeled back and hair pulled out if he didn't figure a way out of this here mess he got himself into. Well, as luck would have it, boy, they were lucky this time. All the gals in the classes, they went to having a quilting and cooking class in another building when dinner was over with. Then the boys were getting some farming tips along with some new instruction on the laws of the limits of seasons and so forth and whatnot in another building from the game and fish. Well, the boys got out early, so they just skedaddled out from there real quick like and went on back to the house where General MacArthur was born. The boys was a palavering all about Billy Cain hiding out from the gals when he see two of them come across the park. Well, Billy Cain spied a mite of an opening near about the back steps of the museum, and of course the museum and the house is all the same thing, and went to weaseling his way in the opening. About that time, them two gals come up and asked if they'd seen Billy Cain. Well, the boys wasn't gonna tell no lie. No, they don't lie, no tales, you know. But Buster told him he didn't rightly know exactly where Billy Cain was, and that wasn't no lie. And those gals said, "Well, thank you, but if you boys see Billy Cain, you tell him we needin' to have words with him." Woo-wee, them gals had smoke coming out of their ears, I tell you. Well, Buster hollered under the back steps and told Billy Cain the gals were gone and come on out of there. Well, Billy Cain hollered back and said he was stuck and he needed some help getting out. Well, now, Billy Cain was a bit of a whippersnapper, little old bitty feller. He was smaller than Jesse Darrell. Of course, he got to be a big one now, weight-wise, about like Buster, but not near as tall, you know. But anyway, back then, and the only one near about his side was Jesse, like I say. Well, Jesse hollered he'd crawl in there and help him get on out and to hang on till he got there. Well, Jesse wiggled his way through the opening and finally got to Billy Cain. Well, Billy Cain told Jesse to look what he done found. Well, Billy Cain found a American flag back from 1836 when Arkansas got to statehood. He also found a little cigar box with all manner of doodads and trinkets and whatnot in it with the initial DM. Well, Jesse hollered back that they couldn't turn around, but they could crawl on forwards and where there was some more room. Well, when Jesse and Billy Cain got to a place where they could get some breathing room, they was up under the floorboards of the house. Well, it seemed like it was a trap door where a feller could get underneath the house, but it weren't a big one now. Well, Jesse said he could see a latch, but they couldn't move it at all. Well, Buster and Hired said they'd go into the house and to holler when they heard them walking on the floor above them. They was leaving Walter 'cause he could look out for the gals, and if they come back by, he could talk to them. 'Cause that boy could talk the brass horns off Billy Goat, to tell you. Well, Buster and Hired went into the house just a looking around and went to every room, and then they went to a room that they thought that's where Jesse and Billy Cain was under. Well, sure enough, they began to holler, and they was right over them and to see if they could see where they was at. Well, Buster and Hired went to looking at the floorboards, and they finally found the trap door. Well, Buster took his pocket knife and opened the big blade and put it in the cracks in the floorboards. Well, Buster just eased his knife blade along the opening in the cracks till the knife blade hit the latch, and then it lifted up just a mite. The trap door could be opened, but Billy Cain and Jesse had to push it from the bottom. Well, the floorboards had been coated with no telling how many coats of varnish, and it was stuck pretty darn tight, they say. Well, anyhow, Hired and Buster got a grip on the trap door and got it raised up to where Billy Cain and Jesse could get on out of there, bringing the flag in the box with them. When the boys got out the hole, they looked up the feller in charge of the museum and told him what all they done found. Boy, howdy, was that feller tickled just plumb pink, I tell you. There was letters from General Douglas MacArthur's mama and daddy and grandpa, and there was some shooting marbles and stamps and some old coins too. The flag was sure enough a doozy, and it was in good shape also. The space Jesse and Billy Cain was in was the old trench that was dug out to shoot from to protect the place against Indians or whomever what they was fighting. Quite the experience, you might say. Well, the boys took off to find something to eat. You know, Buster, he's always hungry, whilst Billy Cain slipped away whilst dodging them gals. Well, Billy Cain was on the backside of the lake when he heard somebody a-hollering for help. A pretty little sandy-haired gal had slipped and fell into the lake, and she couldn't swim there a bit. Well, old Billy Cain lit a shuck a-running and dove in the water and grabbed the gal and got her to the bank. They was both wetter than the frog, you know, and she was just a-hanging on to Billy Cain a-crying. Well, about that time, the feller in charge of the museum come a-running with the boys hot on his heels. He run up to Billy Cain and his daughter and began to hugging them both. Dangest thing about it ever did see. The feller and the gal both began to thank Billy Cain after she said she's all right. Well, everybody began to gather around Billy Cain and the feller in charge and the boys, and then Miss Wilhelm come up on them with another teacher and brung a couple of blankets put around Billy Cain and the gal. Come to find out, her name was Betsy Ellen. Her ma was passed, and her pa said she was named after Betsy Ross, the lady that made the first American flag. No wonder he liked that flag. Well, after all the excitement, the teachers rounded up all the kids and set on out back to the house. Buster was sure enough hungry by that time and told all the boys and Billy Cain to come on over to eat about at Grandma's before they was leaving on out to their house. Well, it wasn't but a couple of weeks till a feller come from the capital to Billy Cain's house and talked to his ma and pa. Billy Cain was out and about in some kind of mischief for sure, and he wasn't around to see the feller, so he didn't get to talk to the man from the capital. His pa told him they was all going to go to Little Rock the next week to see some folks about him crawling under that museum. Well, old Billy Cain was some frightful about all that, I tell you. Well, that next Tuesday evening, Billy Cain and his folks and Buster, Hired, Jesse, and Walter, and their folks too, met up at the Capitol building. The governor and the curator of the museum and Betsy Ellen was all there too. The curator's name was Mr. Ellison, And he told all the folks what all Billy Cain done about finding the flag and artifacts of the general and saving his onlyest daughter. Then the governor presented Billy Cain a hero medal and hung it round his neck. Well, Mr. Ellison, the curator, also gave Billy Cain a proclamation from the museum and said the items and the flag will have his name under them as a person that donated them to the museum. Well, Buster and Jesse and Howard and Walter also got their names put up there as helping with it too, finding the flag and the artifacts. The governor gave each of the boys an award for being outstanding citizens of the state. Well, as time went by, Billy Cain went off to college and Betsy Ellen did too. Both of them went to the same university, University of Arkansas, that is. Well, after graduating, Billy Cain and Betsy Ellen married up and had 6 youngins and 13 grandkids. Billy Cain and Betsy Ellen are now curators of the museum at MacArthur Park. You know, you just never can tell what life has in store for you. The good Lord has in his ways, don't he? Y'all have a blessed day. That's for Billy Cain Bailey. Thank you for listening and dropping in.